Today, we're going to do a part 2 review of the Syna Expert Advisor. So a few weeks ago, I made this review on Syna, and unfortunately, I think I missed a few very important things. And since then, I've reconnected with the developer, Brandon, and we just had a chat to discuss some interesting features which the community might find value in. And just as a quick disclaimer, I never take any payment for these reviews. And if a developer wants to reach out to me to say, hey, maybe you missed something, maybe people would find value if you also highlight these features, I'm always happy to share it with the community. However, I'm also very transparent to the developer that I won't just fluff up their bot. I'll share the good, I'll share the bad, and I only talk to people who are okay with that, right? So I'm not here to promote randomly. I'm here to just share information which I think people might find value in. So with that out of the way, something which I really missed last time was just how innovative the alert system is. And I think that actually gives so much value, even more so than just having another EA. And particularly, there's a few updates since this review has been made, which I think people might find value with. So really, as we can see on the sales page, there's two parts to Syna. There's both the EA, which is probably quite similar to many of Brandon's prior EAs, which focus on trading the mean reversion currency pairs. And at the same time, there's the option of having recovery or non-recovery depending on your personal preferences. But what's really cool is more that the assistant is a lot more sophisticated than I initially thought. And in reality, it acts almost like the mother's CPU, which can monitor a whole variety of EAs. So as developers or as people who are very active in trading, we're constantly monitoring the market and kind of know generally what's going on. If there's a particular period of high volatility, we might know that's the case and adjust our portfolios of EAs accordingly. Specifically, or particularly, if you're trading something that has any sort of recovery system, think you have any sort of grid, any sort of martingale, you have to be extremely careful regarding what type of market regime you're running systems in. For instance, grid martingales almost always perform until some sort of black swan event can perhaps cause you to hit the equity stop loss. And if you're an active developer, you know, okay, maybe Liberation Day is going to come up. Maybe there's going to be a CPI day or a CPI week. Perhaps I won't have my EAs trading on those days. But if you're somebody who's more of a casual user or somebody who's really trying to do this as a passive investment, you might not necessarily be able to monitor the market. And what Syna was really intended for, chatting a bit more with Brandon, is it kind of makes it easy for people to know what's going on in the market and that they can adjust their portfolios accordingly. And I thought that was actually really smart because he's pretty much leveraging AI and leveraging various alerts, be it MT5, push alerts, or Telegram alerts, so that people can keep an eye on the market without being glued to their phone. So it's a very sophisticated alert or red alert system, almost like a weather report, which tells you hey, this is probably going to happen in the market right now. Maybe you should be mindful of that and adjust your EAs accordingly. So that's pretty unique. And if we pull it up here, there's a few different ways that you can do that. One of which is just the basic forecast, but you can actually input your Telegram or your MT5 app settings in the actual inputs, and then it can send you market updates for given pairs. And this could be for instance, if you trade gold a lot, you could tell it hey, keep an eye on gold and send me updates whether or not you think the gold markets are going to be more bullish or bearish, etc. And you can even have it monitor the markets that if there's a sudden volatility spike, and let's say there's this huge move in gold randomly, then you will get an alert from Syna saying hey, FYI, there is a lot of volatility in gold. What's also really neat is that Brandon is the LLM whisperer. So he has the option here, we can see on the sales page again too, that there's a whole bunch of different models which can be used as part of this red alert system. So obviously you have the basics, everybody knows ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity, etc. But using OpenRouter, you can actually pull from hundreds and hundreds of models, many of which are free, to give people essentially different perspectives. So you can say, hey, is gold going to be bullish or bearish? And you can say, I want to hear from ChatGPT, I want to hear from Claude, and I want to hear from Perplexity. So then depending on if you want to have hourly alerts or bi-daily reports, you can check your phone and say, okay, Claude, Perplexity, and let's say Mistral all think that gold is going to be bullish. Therefore, I'm pretty confident that because I'm in a buy trade, this should end well. I won't close my trade in advance. So that's pretty neat. He was also explaining to me is like you can pick which indicators that information is shared with the AI models for. So let's say you really care about EMAs and Bollinger Bands. You can load up a bunch of EMAs, Bollinger Bands in your chart, and then tell it to, let's say do this on Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, and tell Syna to like read those values. So like read what are the trend filters, what are the oscillating filters, put those in the various LLMs, and then receive alerts based on that. So that's also really cool. So I see a lot of applications here. So honestly, I would use it more for that than even just for trading myself. Because particularly like if I were to be running 100 EAs or a huge portfolio of EAs, I can read the news and I generally know like, okay, this week I think gold might be bullish because it's a CPI week and we're anticipating more rate cuts. So I'm probably going to use some of my more gold focused EAs. But let's say gold all of a sudden starts tanking midday when I'm in a position. Having something which can give me an alert saying like, hey, by the way, maybe you want to get out of the market because gold all of a sudden is reversing. That's pretty neat. And in my opinion, the coolest feature, which Brandon was explaining to me, is that you can actually have Syna monitor other EA's positions. So let's say you have a classic non-AI based EA, like let's say even my EAs use AI, but let's say some like Longbow Fund Manager, they use AI to enter a position, but we generally close end of day. So I have found that that's the best way to get consistent good profits. But let's say, for instance, you want Syna to monitor Longbow Fund Manager's open position during the day. Longbow Fund Manager holds a position for 16 hours, so it can hold for a long period of time. And on average, I have found through back testing, if you close at the end of the day, you're going to have the best profitability long term. But maybe like at 4:35 p.m., Donald Trump Truth Socials something, and the market starts to tank. Having something which can kind of monitor like, hey, this is how your gold position is doing is pretty cool. And what can also happen with Syna specifically is you can actually give it the EA's comment, so like Longbow Fund Manager's comment, and say, monitor all the trades with this comment. That I think is super cool because it enables you to pretty much smart close any other EA's positions. So Longbow Fund Manager or any sort of like more swing trading EA or even manual swing trading, if you can say, hey, keep an eye on these trades for me. I think they're bullish and I want to hold them until end of day, assuming it's a buy. But what happens if the market starts to turn? If the market starts to turn, or if you think the market is going to turn because of whatever fundamental data you're monitoring, give me a ping. That's cool. I think that actually gives a tremendous amount of edge. So for me personally, that's what I would probably use it for. If you're somebody who likes grids, having something which can monitor for high volatility impact and text you and say, maybe not a great week to run a grid system because there's going to be a massive tariff announcement, that's also super valuable. So really my main takeaway from this video versus the prior one is the alert system is really powerful. Like, I don't think if you're running Mean Machine, you necessarily would get this just to have an additional kind of Aussie dollar mean reversion style system. What you'd probably look to do is have the alert system. So you can run our bots, you can run some of Wim's excellent bots, you can run Brandon's bots, and you know, like, okay, I'm managing all these 50 bots. Like, what happens if something goes sideways? Like, which one should I pull off? Which one should I keep in? If I'm starting a new prop challenge this week, which bot should I use? And having kind of like this very sophisticated AI market monitoring tool is pretty cool. I think there's lots of potential possibilities there. So yeah, definitely check this out. And Brandon's a very friendly guy, so if you're looking to get some more info, like, happy to just, I'm sure you can reach out to him. So yeah, super interesting. And once again, I'm not getting paid to say this. I just think it's cool, and I think I'm going to use it myself to monitor some of my positions. So hope you guys enjoyed the second video, and have yourselves a wonderful day.